Before I ask you some questions, I like to do a short intro for the dub dummies. I name them the dub BB, dub dummies.
The dub heads.
The dub dummies. To tell
I got you. Yeah, the dummies.
The dummies. To tell something about you. What I
Okay.
found about you are the next things. Touring artist, a singer-songwriter, associated with acoustic guitar. You never want to play on an electric one.
The first 4 albums I did was electric. My first trip over here at the Pier Festival was with the Electric Band.
Yeah.
So I did 4 albums as electric, and then I went back to my acoustic roots. I started off as an acoustic player in the 60s. Yeah.
Okay. Born and lived worked in different states in America.
Yeah.
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 And now your home is Memphis, Tennessee,
Memphis, Tennessee, yeah.
where all the great singer-songwriters must have been.
Yeah, it's when we got there to Memphis, my wife Patty Joy and I, we both said, why did it take us so long to get here? I've been going there for the Blues Music Awards for years, and we just love it there. It just felt like home the minute we got there.
Yeah. And the next point, the next item is the man who put you on the rails. I call him your mentor. Was George Harmonica Smith.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. George is a special guy. Like if you read the book that they did with me, Vincent Abate wrote what we call the compact biography.
You're calling about the new book.
Yeah, the new
There's
book.
a new book published not so long ago, I think.
Right. And there's parts in there about George that I learned from George, Eric. Some very amazing things, like a lot of people say that this is the devil's music and so on.
Yeah.
But if I may, I'll let you know something. I learned it certainly is not that with George. And when I was with Robert Jr. Lockwood, we did a concert together. And he liked what I was doing, and afterwards we were sitting as close as you and I are now. And I was looking at his 12-string, and I said, man, I sure like to play that thing. Because he got a great sound out of that thing, I wanted to get an idea what kind of strings he used, what kind of gauges, and if he octavized which strings and so on. So he's seeing me eye that guitar. And he says, you want to play that? I said, I'd love to. And he said, what do you think about Robert Johnson and the Crossroads and Hellhound? I said, well, Mr. Lockwood, I don't think too much about that. He said, why? I said, in my opinion, Robert Johnson was one hell of a musician. And then Lockwood looked at me and said, go ahead and play the guitar. If I would have answered the other way, I wouldn't have played it.
But he was the man, he first called you dub. That was
George.
It.
Yeah.
But why did he do that?
Do you know why I think so?
What do you want to express with it? What want to say with dub?
I wouldn't, if you asked me that a year ago, I wouldn't know. But now I do know. He was born on my natural father's birthday, George Harmonica Smith, right? A couple of years after my dad was born, okay? My father and I never got along, but George and I got along. So I think that he always considered me to be his son. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't going to call me Doug. He was going to call me Dub, right? So I would be his son. Because one time I told him, I said, George, my name is Doug. He said, I know that, Dub. He was going to call me Dub so I could be his son.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was to introduce you again for the dummies.
Well, we got them all educated now.
Yeah. And now let's do my questions. Till the cows come home.
Rock it till the cows come home?
Yeah. My questions till the cows. I can use your hands. Yeah.
What?
In the meantime, you're respectfully 73.
Yeah.
And still traveling around the world.
Yeah.
To share your songs with us, with the people on this is, how should I say it, admirable, somewhere exceptional, but also somewhere, with respect, insane. A bit crazy. I hope you understand. Why are you still doing it? What is the forces that urge you to do that?
Oh, a lot of money. No,
You must be a rich man. Doug. You must be a rich man.
I'm joking.
But what is driving
I love
your
doing
motor to do it?
I love doing it. I love, especially being acoustic and being able to actually play the smaller places. And a lot of times, right, not so much with festivals, but in a smaller place, I get to meet people. I get to talk to them. I get to understand what their feelings are. And it kind of goes inside my head and says, when songs come out, I take, from my experience, but also from other people's experience. And I learned so much. You're looking at a guy that never got to college. So my education has come from traveling and meeting people and learning about different countries. And I figure as long as I can do that, I'm going to keep on doing that.
Okay.
That's why.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
I thought so.
I accept it. Taking into account the more than 300 songs that you wrote,
Yeah.
experts say or write,
Yeah.
they describe you as a storytelling blues musician. That's not what I call an everyday standard musician. What did a teenager get so far? A teenager is a chronic stutter.
Yeah, I did. I had a bad stutter.
Why did you want to become a musician, knowing that you were doing something unexpected?
Well, I think when I had the stutter, it made me close
It's
up.
a true story.
Of course, yeah.
And then you said, I want to become a musician.
No, well, kind of, Eric. It happened like I was embarrassed to speak because the stutter was so bad that when I would speak, like to you, it would go so long that you would feel compelled to anticipate the word I was trying to say, right? To shorten everything up.
Yeah.
All right. So I closed down inside. And then I started to play, and I couldn't meet any girls. I was a teenager because they didn't want to be with me with the girl, because I stutter. And back in those days, there were no cell phones. It was a pickup phone. And anybody that stutters would tell you that's the scariest thing in the world. I don't know why it is, but trying to talk on the phone to say, I'd like to speak to such and such, you know what I mean? I'll speak to Nancy.
Yeah.
That make you very nervous. So I closed down. So I started playing bass in St. Louis with blues bands, right? And I started to hear blues.
Just as bass player.
As a bass player. And I started to hear the blues, and I started to hear the songs, and I played a little bit of guitar. And then one day, I picked up a guitar, and I tried to sing a blues song. And this voice came out. And this voice didn't stutter. Yeah, so I said to myself, I got a choice between the voice that stutters and the one that don't. I'm taking the one that don't. So that's why I became a musician, to express myself.
Big decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. It's also known that you only play your own songs.
Right.
You don't have, there are no other musicians who have influenced you, who you look upon, and
Tons
whose
of them.
songs that you would like to sing.
No, well, I wouldn't say would like to sing them, and they all influenced me. Coming up in January, I'm going to the Folk Alliance in New Orleans, and I'm going to do a showcase of the Alan Lomax recordings. And the one that I asked to do is Honey Boy Edwards' version of Catfish Blues.
Catfish Blues.
Yeah, and Honey Boy and I were buddies, right? So it's a real good thing. I'll do that song. But I came from a place, an old man named Ernest Banks, a one-eyed blues singer out of Toronto, Virginia. And he told me...
I will mention it because
Okay.
he gave you an advice.
Very good advice. And this too, here's the one. He said, I asked him, I said, you told me in order for me to be a blues man, I got to write, sing, play, and entertain. And he looked at me with that one eye and said, that's right, boy, you got to do that. So we were sitting on the corner drinking Chianti wine in Norfolk, Virginia on Freemason Street. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Banks, I don't know nothing about picking cotton. I never picked cotton in my whole life. And I had experience with some of the black magic, like a black hat bone and goober dust and mud and all this kind of stuff that he taught me that I was around here. And I said, you taught me all that stuff, and I don't want to know nobody. I said, what am I going to write about? And he looked at me and he said, you ever been lonely? I said, yeah. He said, you ever needed some money for that little apartment you got down the road? I said, yes, sir. He said, that's the blues too, boy. He said, you write about that. So what he gave me that day was that you write about your own experiences. You be as honest as you possibly can. Then you can reach other people. And then they'll know that you're speaking the truth so that they get something from the song. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I do my own song.
But you have enough songs.
Well, you didn't ask me how many. There's 300, but you didn't ask me how many are good.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go back to 2017.
Okay.
It was the date of the year that you, the release of your, not your latest, but your last album. I wrote a review for Roots Time. It was a very good album.
Thank you.
I think, maybe I must say, one of the better ones.
That's fine. Thank you. I appreciate
that's one. The title was Break the Chain.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that title? Because I think that you want to say something or to force something, or something that you want to get off your heart.
Well, I was abused when I was a little boy. I was abused. I was sexually abused by a man and a woman. So when I got to, plus I had a stutter, right? So when I got to be 16 years old, I was confused, angry, hurt. And eventually what happened is, through a long story that's too long for here now, but eventually got into therapy when a girlfriend of mine tried to commit suicide. And there is the therapist there, he discovered that abuse had happened. I blacked out the whole thing. I don't remember the first 8 years of my life. I couldn't tell you about it. I know we lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I don't know the whole thing about it. So he told me, he said, if you've been abused, chances are you could be an abuser.
Yeah.
All right? All right. So when our son was born, I remember holding him, and he fit right here in my forearm like this, and I could see his eyes, and I remembered what that therapist had said, that I could be an abuser, and I said, no, it stops now. All that stuff stops now. So when our son Jesse became old enough, he's a singer-songwriter now, and he said, I was looking for a song about to go on the album. We've always wanted to write a song together, at least, you know. And he said, Pops, let's write a song about what our relationship is, that we don't have any abuse in our relationship. And I said, Jesse, that sounds like a good idea. So I called my manager, Mickey Mulvihill, and I said, Mickey, what do you think about that idea? She said, that's a great idea. She said, a whole lot of people got to hear it.
Yes, he co-wrote a song with you?
Yeah, he co-wrote it.
He performed a song with you on the album?
One time, yes.
Yeah, on the album, yeah.
Yes.
But why did you wait that so long, or?
Maybe fear, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I waited so long to say it. Yeah. You can see it in some of my songs. Come Defined had it, a mention of it. Some of my songs had it, but it really didn't come out till I realized what a great relationship I have with Jess, and that he and I got a real good thing together, you know. So,
what I must say also is that who is your son? He was
cancer. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
We had some good news. It was very serious.
Yeah.
It had metastasized. Yeah, metastasized throughout his body. And they said to him, give him a chance for a clinical trial. And I'm going to mention the doctor's name, Dr. Hamid. I can tell you right now that the last scan he had, one of the tumors is gone, and all of them have diminished. So, a blessing. It looks like
We
we're
say
going.
keep woods, or I don't know if you have the same words in the States, but keep woods. Yeah, but it's
I know what you mean. Keep
yeah.
the good news coming.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
Jesse also a musician?
Yeah, a fine musician.
So the future is ensured.
Yeah, the future is. In fact, he's playing.
He's also a singer.
He's a singer-songwriter, and he's a good blues guitar player. And you know what? He's playing the very same guitar that I brought here when I came for the Pier Festival.
Oh.
He's using that guitar now, and he named it. He called it Praying. He was what? He was like 4 years old, and he named it Praying. Of course, when he said it when he was a little boy, it was Pwing, right? Pwing. But I don't know, I never heard no name like Praying in my life. But that's the guitar he's using, my old Strat. Yeah.
One of the next times you will bring him on stage, and
If he wants to.
Oh.
If he wants to be with his old man, you know, we'll see if he wants to be with his old man.
I know the problem. I know the problem. This was not, like I said, your that was your latest, but not your last album.
No.
I read somewhere that in September you started with preparing a new album with the producer who called him Gaines. Yes,
Jim Gaines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, working on a new album.
Yeah, we are.
Can you tell us something more? Or
Sure, I'll tell you something.
Is it we have to wait, or
Well, you're going to have to wait a little bit because when I get back in December, Jim and I, we're going to go and start working on it seriously. We did some demos to see how we feel about each other, and and how everything is, and we like each other. And
it's again you on the album, or with other musicians?
there'll be some other musicians, but it'll be different. There'll be guys from Memphis.
Yeah.
So there'll be a Memphis sound on it.
good.
And there'll be solo stuff too. But there'll be a different Memphis feel on it.
Yeah. After more than 30 years, more than I think 20 albums, did you got enough recognition? The recognition that you expected or that you had in mind?
I never, to be very honest with you, I never thought about how much recognition I should get or shouldn't get. Even should is a word I don't like. What I feel very happy about is that I know I'm respected and appreciated for what I do. And
You got a lot of awards. You
A
got
lot
a
of
lot of
awards.
awards, yeah. I cannot name them all, but the last year you got a lot of them.
Yep, I've a
Did
few
you
awards.
got a special one, or one that you keep in your heart?
This is going to sound like a politician, but no, they're all special to me. And every time I've been fortunate enough to win one, I find it even more humbling. The first one I won was humbling, and then the more that have come humble me more. I don't know what else to say, but just humbled by it. I'm just glad.
Let me finish with what I call some general questions.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you doing when you're not playing music? Well, let me say, do you have hobbies?
Cook.
I read something about your old smoker barbecue.
Yeah, but my wife wouldn't let me take her to Memphis. She said she never has to
That's not the only thing that you do in your free time, no.
Well, I love cooking. I love smoking. I love the smoke and barbecue and baseball. You can give me a day off, like if I have some time off when I'm not traveling, you put me in my house with friends and family, and I got a barbecue going and a baseball game going. And I'm gonna tell you something, a Chimay beer. I love that Chimay beer, and I can find it in Memphis.
You can find it.
I'm telling you, because it travels in that brown bottle.
You may have not one. You have a blonde, a dark one, a strong one.
Yeah, we only get the red and the blue label.
Red and blue.
Yeah, that's the one we
I
get.
advise you the blue one.
Or the best.
Yeah, the blue is the strongest too.
No, that's the best.
It's the strongest too, isn't it?
That's the detail.
So
That is a good one.
So you see me with the Chimay. I even got glasses now. Now you can buy the glasses, but I got to tell you, years ago I stole them. I did. I pack them in a suitcase and take them home with me.
hope
But I don't steal anymore.
I hope that we come once to the stage and then I bring you the glasses.
You don't have to. I got plenty.
Oh.
You can bring the beer though, or go and buy it. You can.
But never drink beer in Holland. For beer,
Never drink beer. What?
in Holland, here in the Netherlands.
Why?
They don't know anything about beer.
You know.
They only can prepare or make cheese, but no beer. We call it piss beer. That's it.
And this magazine is out of Belgium, isn't it?
Yes,
Isn't it? That's a little promo for Belgium, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. The Belgians make the best beer in the world. The best beer.
We try to.
Yeah, it's the best.
And if you don't like this one, you try another one.
And I've been doing that for years.
Shime.
She may, and she may not, right?
She may or she may not.
Like some of my girlfriends.
Yeah. We already mentioned Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
He was the one he advised you, but did you got other good advices?
Pee Wee Creighton,
Yeah.
who was the godfather of my son. He was godfather of Jesse. I remember when I was playing a lot of notes when I was playing electric, and Pee Wee took me to the side and said, "Take your time."
Yeah.
That's good advice. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other good advice was George Harmonica Smith. This is a great little story. We were working together, and George came up to me after a night playing together, and George said, "Dub, you sure sound like B.B. King." I said, "George, thank you." And he said, "Dub, that's not a compliment." What he was saying was, be Dub, right? Don't be a copy of B.B. King or Muddy Waters or anybody else. Just be you. That was good advice, too.
Like I said, you are 73. I think that your bucket list, all the items must be.
They're all
Filled?
done. I filled every darn one of them.
Are there still things that you maybe once want to do? Some open items that you said, that's something, a place that they want to play, or somebody that they want to play with. I don't know, but
I don't know. I think maybe one time Honey Boy Edwards and I were talking, and we were talking about right hands and going on with things and so on. And he said to me, he said, you know how he talked? He used to say, he said, "Doug, what do you want to do?" And I said to him, I said, "Honey Boy, I want to beat you." And that's what he was. He was like 94 at that time. So that's my goal. If I can reach 94 in
play.
one day and keep on playing, then I beat Honey Boy. Then
play as long as possible.
as long as possible, as long as they want me, as long as I can.
Do you have any regrets?
Sure. Lots of regrets. Lots of them. I prefer not to tell you what they are, but sure I do. Yeah. When I was younger, when I was drinking, a lot of regrets. Yeah.
I have a last question. I know it's the one I often ask to musicians, to people I can interview, but for you, I think it's an interesting question. What did you learn about yourself by being a musician?
That's a good question. What did I learn about myself? I'm not such a bad person.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think with the abuse and the stutter, and I think what I've learned by expressing myself and playing music.
Maybe that was your reaction.
Yeah, I don't
Go
yeah.
on to become a musician, to explain or to give you for the public.
I think that's really what it was about. It was caring about people. To be very honest with you, that playing acoustic like this and solo, I care about people. You can tell by my songs. They're about how people, like what I've always felt about this music, blues. I see this music as a music of overcoming adversity, not subjecting to adversity. Because I thought one day about who created this music. The slaves created this music, and the conditions under which this music was created. And I traveled with the old bluesmen, and I saw their way of dealing with adversity, and loving life, and laughing, and how could you feel sorry for yourself? So I think music has allowed me to know that even though I might have had a rough beginning, right? I'm not a bad person. I'm a pretty good person.
Yeah.
Maybe could stand a little more modesty, but but not a bad person at all.
Okay. Like I said, that was my last question.
All right.
Again, Mr. MACLEOD, we thank you for your roots time, and for trying to make the world better with your lovely songs and your,
Oh man, that's very
your
kind
great
of you.
music.
Thank you, Eric.
We
I
thank you a lot.
appreciate that.
We thank you a lot.
Best of luck to you and the magazine too.
Thank you a lot.
Right.